Hi, I'm Hecklin. I'm a freelancing artist and Etsy blacklisted me from ever using their site again. If you don't know what Etsy is, it's an online marketplace where you can sell and buy stuff. Buy some cute earrings or make a shop and potentially get royally screwed over like I did. This is a story about corporate greed and shady practices. And just in case, before I really get going,
this video is based solely on my personal experiences, research, and publicly available information. It is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only, and should not be taken as legal or financial advice. I am not affiliated with Etsy or any other company mentioned. Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball GT are all owned by Funimation, Toei Animation, Fuji TV, and Akira Toriyama. Please support the official release.
Yes, as any artist would know, it's difficult to get commissions. I tried a few different websites, but Etsy was the only one that worked out, and therefore, pretty much inevitably, Etsy became my primary source of art income for years. I mean, I did try to advertise on social media, but I never really got anywhere with it. So what did I do to survive in the art world? PNG tuber. If you don't know what a PNG tuber is, well, it's a little avatar that you use instead of a webcam. It's kind of like a VTuber, but one that I can create with my limited skills. And if you don't know what a VTuber is, I don't know, I can't help you. Here are some examples of what I sold. We got Silly Little Goober, Absolute Stinky Winky, Pee Pee Poo Poo Man, Silly Boy, and Steve. It literally worked like any normal shop. You would click on the little preview, be blown away by the artistic quality, read the description. You do read the description, right? And buy it. You do buy it, right? After which you'd be able to instantly download and use the images I created. I even included a handy dandy little self-made installation guide for the inexperienced or the extra dense customers who can't figure out that the PNG with an open mouth goes into the open mouth slot, or that the PNG with an open mouth and closed eyes goes into the slot with the PNG with the closed eyes and the open mouth.
Well, Hecklin, your PNG tuber doesn't work. You suck.
Listen here, you little sh**.
In the beginning.
2022. I'd only really been doing art for 2 years professionally, but I had the drive. I wanted to prove that my art degree was worth something, and I genuinely wanted to be less reliant on my family and just stand on my own, build my life with my hands. But I really underestimated how hard it was going to be to just work as a solo freelancer. It's not just being an artist. You have to be a social media manager, a data analyst, a logistics officer, a website designer, a marketing team, supplier, entrepreneur, etc, etc, etc. That's why I said Etsy was the best option at the time, because it offered so much ease of use. Selling digital goods as downloads, marketing, all of it was free.
Free.
You know, free. Etsy would charge a fee on every item. Everything for a modest cut of 31%? That's a third of my cake. For what? This is part of why I wasn't worried about people reselling my art. It was barely worth selling in the first place. Yeah, in the 3 years of selling on Etsy, I probably made $500 total from selling these instant download PNG tubers, which might seem like a lot, but if you break it down, it's like $14 a month. That's basically enough for a nice cup of coffee or two. In fairness, this one isn't all Etsy's fault. To an extent, this is just the nature of making small transactions anywheres. Except that 19-cent listing fee, what the hell? My thing only costs like $6 and I want to take 3% off of that too? Yeah,
I think
there are a lot of fees on Etsy, but this video isn't about that. And so far, I was happy with the service provided. The store did exactly what I intended it to do. It wasn't a lot, but it was okay. The real money was in the custom work. I could charge significantly more for a completely custom PNG tuber, but that took me until 2024 to realize. Why did it take me that long? Well, for some reason around this time I thought it was a great idea to move into a mold-covered broom closet. You know, life experience. But we all did cookie stuff in our 20s, right? So it wasn't really a great time at the time. which was 2 years. But now I'd graduated and I was ready to revamp the store. That's right, the store basically did nothing for 2 years. I set it up once, uploaded my art, and completely forgot about it. But that was a different age, and things were different now. I couldn't let this store that I started 2 years ago be a representation of my current skill. I mean, look at this oversaturated background. Blech. And what the hell is this? Is that some sort of weird checkerboard pattern? Is that my logo? What the hell is that? What the hell is that going to do 2022? Heck, learn some graphic design, why don't you? Even from a non-artist perspective, you can see how it started out very crudely. Yeah, I was super inexperienced when I started the shop, but now I was moderately inexperienced. Ready to take my 2-year-old little neglected houseplant of a store and drown her with water immediately. This was my plan. 1. Start an additional, completely new store. 2. Revamp everything in the old store. 3. Renew my efforts to bring in new clients and customers. And 4. Focus much more heavily on custom work. Yes, 2024 was gonna be my success year. I was gonna do everything I could to cement myself as an artist. No, Dad, my art studies weren't a waste. I won't starve to death. I'll thrive. I'll make art that only artists can make.
The time has come.
First things first. I was starting a new store. Not putting all my eggs in one basket was a brilliant idea, or so I thought. But I didn't really separate the eggs, did I? The new store I started was still using Etsy as a foundation after all. It was more like putting a thin cardboard wedge in the basket, separating the egg. Everything was still dependent on things not going wrong with Etsy. But that would never happen. Not my smartest move, I must admit. But a smart move I did make was hiring my friend Lumi. I'd do all the administrative work and all the managing of orders, and Lumi would provide the art. It would be a completely different anime-esque art style, but still PNG tubers, of course. That is what I had the most experience with. I mean, if one style could earn me 14 bucks a month, then with an additional style, I could have up to 28 bucks a month, right? Absolutely flawless logic. What could possibly go wrong? It did feel super efficient because as I was revamping the old store, Lumi was hammering away at creating the graphics and products for the second store. Lumi actually managed to finish way before me. That bitch. And store 2 was ready for launch basically just a week after I finalized the plan. As for me, revamp took another month. Oops. In fairness, I did take the bigger of the 2 tasks, and a lot of it involved me going back and forth and updating descriptions and tags, updating old art and stuff. Remember this goober? Boom! Updated. How about this fella? Wabam! Updated. You think these guys are safe? Bam, bam, bam! Not to mention all these new designs. When I said I wanted to revamp everything, I really did mean everything. I turned my rundown little shack storefront where the occasional scallywag would saunter in into an actual streaming supplies shop. That was the surprising bit, wasn't it? That things were going to plan so far. My store was looking better each day. The Lumi store, I'll just be calling the second store that from now on, was raring to go. What a time. But good things don't last. And right as I had my grand reopening...
Shut it down! Forget it!
Yep, the Lumi store was shut down first. Well, what the flip happened, you might be wondering. Let me break it down for you. Originally, it was my intention to split the profits with Lumi. Well, there were no profits. There wasn't even a single real order, custom or otherwise. But do you know what there was? Bots. So many freaking bots. I swear, at least once every 3 days you'd get a message from a fake account called Etsy support or some Mandarin characters telling you they need your login information and email immediately. There wasn't a single message from any real visitor or any order to the shop for the entire lifespan of the store. A lifespan of just around a month, mind you. But wait, then how did it get banned? Oh, we'll get to that. Did you notice how I said there wasn't a single real visitor or order? Pay attention to the wording. Lumi and I did get plenty of orders. from bots. These orders never showed up in the order tab or in my inbox. These orders would also often be accompanied by some other fake message from an Etsy account or some technician who desperately needed my information to be able to help. Different fake support accounts each time, by the way. I just ignored all of it. I didn't think it was an issue because the orders and messages were just so obviously fake. How would I even go about reporting this issue to Etsy? Every message came from a new account, and even though I was yet to have my first encounter with Etsy support, I had already heard how infamously bad their system was. I thought I could handle this myself, no problem. I mean, all I had to do was not fall for a scam. What a stupid little hecklin I was. It was early May when I got the email. Another order from another bot account, once again immediately cancelled, but somehow this time it triggered some sort of internal flag from Etsy. A seemingly common occurrence. But hey, since this order actually came through to my email, it might be real, I thought. I will do exactly as Etsy told me and wait, I thought. 5 days later, only 2 days after the 72-hour process period, suspension. Shit. I was angry. Very, very angry. How could they suspend the account after I did exactly what they told me to do?
Disgusting.
How could Etsy suspend the account after they were the ones who failed to keep their website bot free? There was no communication from this buyer, no payment, no nothing. Not to mention no reason given by Etsy. Now, if you're unfamiliar with how suspension works on Etsy, let me give you a rundown. Basically, your entire store is dead. You can't find it, can't see it, can't buy from it, etc. It's basically the same thing as getting banned on Twitch or YouTube or something of the sort, and just like on those sites, you can appeal. So I submitted my appeal, and let's say it was harsh. That was probably a mistake on my part, but in my defense, I was 100% convinced and confident that this was entirely just a mistake on Etsy's part. I didn't expect to now have to grovel and bend to them for them to forgive me for something I never did, which is, by the way, exactly what Etsy wanted. I mean, read these questions they ask in the appeal. Are there any actions you've taken to address your suspension? How will your business practices change if you regain account access? They completely pushed the blame onto the seller, despite the fact that, from what I'd seen and read online, Etsy appears to have a very trigger-happy suspension system. So you can imagine I wasn't really in the mood to be very polite. I didn't swear, but I was definitely not nice. After all, I didn't believe this was my problem. I followed all the terms and conditions and did exactly what they asked from me. So why did I have to answer these questions? I mean, hell, the store literally just sat around idly for a month. How much wrong could I possibly have done in that time? What changes will you make? Well, I told them I'm probably going to be switching platforms since they were wasting my time with bureaucratic, unjustified nonsense. Especially because, like I mentioned before, I did not get an email from Etsy with the reason I was suspended for. How can you ask questions about business practices or how we will address the suspension when you never tell the person what the issue is? If my shop is being flagged automatically by some AI, then that AI must know why it flagged the shop. It needs to know for internal reporting and archiving. So why the hell can't the AI just send me the reason? Even fucking Club Penguin had the courtesy of letting you know why you were getting banned. But this professional website you pay doesn't? Anywho, after I submitted my angry appeal full of piss and vinegar, fully expecting an apology, well, you can already guess how this ends. They rejected me. And what did they say?
After a thorough review of your appeal and considering all relevant information, we regret to inform you that your appeal has been denied. Our decision was based on the following factors: risk indicators. Our internal monitoring systems detected several risk indicators associated with your account, prompting the initial suspension. To protect the security of our marketplace, we are unable to disclose the specific indicators detected by our systems. Blah blah blah, I'm a corporate shill.
Risk indicators that they are unable to disclose. This is how I know them not sending me a reason wasn't a mistake or an oversight, it was deliberate. Let me uncorporate that speak for you. We will ban you and not tell you the reason why, because we don't want to. Because the moment a corporation gives you a reason, the moment they give you a name, they have to justify it, and much more crucially, defend it. Nope. It's just easier this way. By keeping it vague, there's no defense I can make. I can't say I didn't do that because I don't even know what I did. I can only speculate while Etsy hopes you'll just give up and leave them alone. And that's what I did. I was angry, yes. But hey, it was the Lumi store. It was barely up, it never earned anything anyways, and it was riddled with bots. Besides, I still had one store left, right? Cash money, no copyright claims, please. I've just spent a lot of time talking about the bad. And hark, behold, here comes the good. Honestly, it was almost hard to stay upset at the Lumi store's unceremonious shutdown because, karmically, almost right after, the old store was bombarded by a level of success that it never experienced before. I mean, look at these stats. 12 custom orders, countless more instant downloads. In a single month, I had made more than I had in the last 2 years combined. Yeah, it still wasn't a lot, but hell, it was a lot better than just a cup of coffee a month. Much better. I was thriving. Bam, bam, bam. The orders just kept coming and coming, and I kept whipping them out to match the pace. Are you waiting for the mean twist this time? Cause there ain't one. It really was just a good time for business. The first good month I've had in ever. It was the payoff for the years of work, studying, failing over and over at getting an audience, selling my art, trying to convince my parents I wouldn't end up homeless. It was all paying off now. I guess my biggest complaint was that the orders I was getting were interfering with other work I was doing. More art, branching out into new projects, social media management classes, yes I tried them, my first convention, so on. Yep. I was suffering from success. I really couldn't complain. Which makes this boring. Moving on. Cashier, money, music isn't my forte. I mean, what the hell? I'm loaded. 2 months, 2 in a row, getting more and more orders every week. How could I be upset? I was riding high. I could actually afford things now. I got a new mic to replace the old one I've been using for 6 years. I got a new tablet to replace the broken glitching one. Upgrades, people, upgrades. Are you waiting for the mean twist this time? Because once again, there ain't one. I just enjoyed the orders, refined my organization, changed my email account so that I could check my work emails separate from my stream emails now. Which also, surprisingly, went perfectly smoothly. I got all the relevant emails the moment I changed it and such. I mean, I was just a bit overworked, and my friends were kind of pestering me to rest. So that's when I decided to take a little break, the longest break I'd ever take. Let me paint you a picture. It's August, the summer's in full swing. I can feel the sun on my face. I lean back, I'm relieved. Man, it's been tough. It's been so long. Ups and mostly downs, but uppies for the first time in a long time. I'm looking at my screen and I feel content. I'm about to take my first real vacation since, well, I started studying art. 2 of my friends are getting married, so I'm just gonna go visit them, attend their wedding, share some good laughs. I cracked my knuckles. Time to get the store ready for my absence and make a fatal error. Let's play a game, shall we? I'm gonna list you 3 errors that you, dear viewer, will keep in mind. It'll be fun. It's like a card trick. You will attempt to divine which of these 3 errors was the fatal one. Just sit back and enjoy. 1. I changed my store name from PNG Town to Hecklin PNG Town. 2. I changed my custom PNG tuber prices from $60 to $6,000. 3. I logged in while using a VPN. Which one is it? Seems obvious, right?
Why did you set custom prices to 6,000?
Well, because I was going on vacation, silly. And that was the norm for me when I used to go on vacation for my Fiverr work. I didn't want anyone to buy it, and hell, if someone did, you best believe I would have taken that job. But no, I didn't want anyone to buy it. I changed the title from custom order to "Do not buy, on vacation." I even replaced the description with an explanation saying the same thing.
Stupid Hecklin, doesn't he know that Etsy has a vacation mode?
Well, yeah, I knew, but vacation mode would have put my entire store on hiatus, and 99% of my inventory was still fully automated. Self-serve, instant download PNG tubers.
Why didn't you just delist the custom PNG tubers only?
That would have probably worked the best, yes, but I was afraid that doing so would remove it from everyone's basket on Etsy. You know, the thing we all see, the tiny part where it says, "Act quickly, 30 people already have this item in their basket." Ironically, my thinking was, things are going so well, I don't want to take any unnecessary risks like that and lose customers.
Ironic.
Anyways, you see I had my reasons, and surprisingly, changing the price like this didn't really do anything. So if that wasn't the error, what about the other two reasons? If you have any experience with Etsy, reason number 3 probably set off a lot of alarm bells. I do just use VPN regularly, not much to say there. Except that I was acutely aware that some people had run into trouble with Etsy and VPNs. What nice non-invasive practices from companies nowadays. Give us your exact location and IP address, or else we'll ban you. But no, that really hadn't been a problem up until now. And no, my store was still operating fine. Personally, I would have thought it to be rather silly if it had been the trigger after using VPN stress-free for so long. No, what was it that got my store banned? Was it you not subscribing? What was it that shut down everything the night before I took my first real break in months? The night before I leave to celebrate my friend's wedding, the week of my birthday. It was the name change. Click.
Objection!
To say that my heart dropped would be an understatement. I like to pride myself on being calm in bad situations, but I was like the youth say, shook. Youths don't say that anymore, do they? Nevertheless, I knew what to do. I've made an unsuccessful appeal before. I've read about this before. It's obviously just a weird flag that AI gave my store, is what I told myself. It seemed probable due to the speed at which I was suspended. With no exaggeration, it happened the moment I clicked save on my name change. Just a weird AI flag. I mean, I was scared, but in my heart of hearts, I knew this would be resolved quickly. I didn't receive a response to my Etsy appeal for 4 months. Now I know that sounds bad, because it was bad. But don't worry, it's a lot worse than it sounds. My store was suspended. That's what it says, right? Send in your appeal. Right there. So I did. I sent in my appeal, real polite, thinking, okay, maybe the first time around I was a bit too harsh, and heck, this time I actually do care a bit more about potentially losing the store. I answered all their stupid little kitty questions, their condescending "what will you do?" differently questions. I tucked my tail and I said, I would do whatever changes necessary, mother, as soon as you let me know what those changes were, because I really do not want to lose this store. I know I sound like a broken record, but this store was my first success. I literally can't emphasize that enough. My first real money, my first real proof that yes, I can make it as an artist. I can make a living, I can accomplish things. It was my first validation in a sea of rejection. The hours, the days, the weeks, the months that I fucking slaved away trying to build something had finally paid off, and I was not going to lose it. For what? For some stupid bot mistake? For some arbitrary reason that I didn't even know? No, I wasn't going to let that happen, even if it meant having to bow my head to an uncaring, arrogant boss who, just as a side note, was profiting quite nicely from my operation. And for what? I was doing 90% of the work. You want to talk about passive income? That's passive income. So I bowed and waited and waited. In the blink of an eye, a few days had turned into a few weeks. Sure, I was busy with other stuff in the meantime, my friend's wedding, studies, general life stuff. But I never forgot about my appeal. It festered in the back of my mind with anything I was doing at the time. Every day that first week I was looking up advice threads, forums, listening to other people's experiences, just trying for the life of me to figure out what the heck Etsy picked up that was worth suspending me over. 'Cause Oh shit, it's the next page, budgie cut. Because if I could just preemptively figure out what Etsy wanted me to change and then change it before they finally give me the reason, then I could get unsuspended, right? I took down listings, I changed the name back, I updated my descriptions, I double checked my personal details, anything that might help. After all, from what I'd gathered in my first week of research, Etsy doesn't really have a transparent set of rules or guidelines. No, it's more like trying to understand a temperamental stray cat. Sometimes they'll want you to pet it, sometimes not. Sometimes they'll bite the shit out of your leg, and sometimes it won't show up for 4 months. It's a rigged system, and this is barely an opinion of mine anymore. Throw a rock and you'll hit 3 people from the last week talking about how someone's store was suspended for seemingly no reason, with comment sections filled with ludicrous, almost religious advice. Yes, just log into your account 2 times, then deactivate your VPN, log in 3 more times, delist 3 products, and then relist them 1 week later. Then your account will be unsuspended. With at least 1 comment underneath going, "Worked for me, thanks." Anyways, yeah, a few days turned into a few weeks and I still hadn't gotten a single response. Just like with the Lumi store, there was no email confirmation about suspension or anything like that. But once again, my research had warned me of this.
It may take Etsy 2 weeks to answer, but it could also take them 3 to 4 weeks. Wait at least that amount before sending another appeal, or it'll bump your priority to the bottom of the list again.
Ah, how nice. More hidden bullcrap. So I waited some more. 4 weeks passed. No response. I send another appeal. At this point, the partially nonchalant part of me had faded into nothingness. I had not been earning any money, passively or not, from my store for half the time that I had been earning a proper income. This situation was not good. I was trying my best to get clients elsewhere, but phew, you really gotta leave it to Etsy. They sure know how to suck the money out of people. Mind you, I am lucky. I survived without my Etsy income. But imagine this from the perspective of someone who is entirely dependent on income from their store. This sort of stuff has happened to people like that before. Imagine not being able to pay rent or groceries because some bot didn't like something you did, and you have no way of knowing what you even did. I was still somewhat optimistic though, as my store still had that same notification. Submit an appeal. As a matter of fact, it re-enabled the appeal option, as in it no longer said appeal sent or whatever, but rather submit an appeal again. I thought it was a bit strange, since I never got a response or even an acknowledgement of my appeal in the first place, but whatever. This was the sign to me that they had now read my first appeal, and for whatever reason they didn't like it, but I was allowed to submit another one. And I did. 3 more weeks passed. Nothing. The option to submit an appeal once again resets. I send another. A week later, the option reappears again. This shit is not working. These rejections were my only communication to Etsy, and they were happening faster and faster. The entire ordeal felt incredibly pointless, and I was growing more and more frustrated. How the hell could they not respond? How the hell could they just ignore me without ever telling me what I did in the first place? And I don't just mean with the appeals I was sending, no. I also emailed them separately. I tweeted at them. I messaged their Instagram. I basically tried to find any means of communicating with them. I'd get responses like, "Oh, we'll look into it," but not a single official response. Again, nothing, just more nothing. Not a single email was sent to me. I, in my desperation, even turned to Reddit.
Help me!
Yeah. It was that bad. And let me tell you, while I have also read all the same wholesome Reddit help post stories you have, my experience wasn't like that. I posted basically begging for help, putting in as much info as I could, because I was hoping, praying that maybe just one random person would have had the same experience as me and could offer any sort of advice. What I got was one comment, one singular comment, going, "There's nothing you could do about this case." And then my post was taken down. What? the fuck? When it rains, it pours, am I right? Naturally, my first instinct was to see why the post was taken down, because I had read all the guidelines of the subreddit before posting and was pretty sure I hadn't violated any of them. Sound familiar? Well, my dear listener, let me tell you why the post got taken down almost immediately. It's because I didn't respond to that one comment. That one singular comment, you see, that I got in the 24 hours the post was up. That one comment I didn't respond to because I was feeling the stress and anxiety of never being able to access my store again, crashing down on me. That commenter, that unhelpful little shit, was the moderator. And they decided, if I can't help him, nobody can, and took down the post. Fuck everyone else's opinions, right? If the high and mighty singular moderator can't help, no one can. I sent them a piece of my mind. Hey, just wanted to say thanks for removing my post. It really was my Hail Mary. I read through all your regulations about what to do first about account suspension before posting. Just wanted to say thank you for kicking me while I'm down. You guys are awesome, really. I hope you'll have the privilege to be as happy as me someday.
I replied to your post to provide you with additional context. You did not respond to me. This sub isn't Etsy official and there are 0 people here who can directly help you. And as I explained in my reply to you, based on what you're describing, I am not surprised the suspension is permanent. And writing this type of sarcastic complaint message definitely does not make me wish we approved posts like yours where all the help we can give was already provided, including a personal reply to you that you did not respond to.
Redditor doesn't reply to the only comment immediately. Moderator,
Better take this post down then and prevent anybody else from weighing in. After all, my opinion is absolute.
You misunderstand. Blah blah blah. That's because we get a zillion posts about account suspension. Blah blah blah.
it's a public Reddit for fuck's sake, not an Ask the Moderator forum. I get that this person was just doing their job, but I was broken and fucking battered at this point. All that frustration of not moving forward, meeting the realization that I was being sent back to square one and failing over and over and over again, trying to get back to where I was, it was all not conducive to my mental health. And now I couldn't even ask for help. Why? Because one person decided that I was a hopeless case? To the extent where they wouldn't even let a single other person weigh in? I read the rules, I followed the guidelines. Apparently they like Etsy so much they're using their same PR policy. Yeah, I should have been calmer and nicer in this interaction. Can you blame me for being mad though? So why did I even bring it up? Well, I think the fact that my post was removed because there's already a zillion posts about account suspension is kinda worth mentioning. A great indicator of how Etsy's ecosystem is operating right now. A broken site that stomps on the very people who make their platform possible, so frequently that it is an active nuisance for the people who just want to use the r/insert subreddit for other stuff. So asking for help wasn't going to work, but I still had my plan B. Of course, even before the shutdown, I had been investing heavily into building up my social media profile with the goal of reaching an audience large enough so that I could get some stability or growth or something out of it. I did not achieve that goal. I won't cover why in detail, because the failure of Plan B and the failure of my social media adventures in general are so lengthy they could be their own entire video. So how does this saga continue? Well, let's see, what have I covered until now? Stuff got worse, stuff got worse, stuff got worse. Alright, stuff gets worse.
And Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire.
I had conquered Inktober. I had torn myself apart to try and keep things together over the last 3 months with not a single message or notification from Etsy when it dawned on me. A horrible, horrible revelation. I had checked my email. Yes. I had checked my spam folder. Yes. I had even checked my old account email. Yes. But I never checked the spam folder of the old email. I never checked the spam folder of the old email. Of course not. That would be ridiculous. Absolutely ludicrous. I mean, why would they send the email to the wrong email? There it was. The response in the spam folder of the old email. The answer to all my questions. Why was I suspended? What changes do I have to make to be unsuspended? Finally, I can know. Finally, after 3 months of complete radio silence to support requests, support tickets, Instagram, Twitter, emails. Finally, I could understand why. Sent 1 week after my first appeal. This was the response.
After a thorough review of your appeal and considering all relevant information, we regret to inform you that your appeal has been denied. Our decision—
It's the same fucking letter. The same auto-generated cookie-cutter bullshit letter I got for the other store. And yes, my dear viewers, I fibbed a little. Me being ignored for 4 months is how I experienced the story. So what I said was true from a certain point of view. That's why you get the same disappointed, is it actually my fault reveal that I did. Ready for a reveal stacked on a reveal, however? My guilt pretty much vanished thanks to this line. We carefully reviewed information provided in your appeal. Haha, did you though? You want to know what was in the very first line in my appeal? In the very appeal that they claimed to have carefully reviewed? I clearly stated the email I was using for the account.
Gotcha, bitch!
So even though the email had been changed for a month and I had included the relevant account email in the first line of the appeal, Etsy still sent to the wrong address and then refused to respond to any further attempts at communication from my side. They might as well have just told me, we ain't reading this shit anyways. But why did they refuse to answer any other emails to this day?
Any future responses or support requests will automatically be closed.
Any future responses or support requests will be automatically closed. I hope at this point that I have shown you that Etsy truly does not care about me, about their sellers. Not to mention that outright ignoring all communications with someone who works for you feels intentionally malicious and deceptive. I know this is just one story, one dot on the canvas, but when you take a step back and look, you'll see the pattern forming. I am not the only one, I'm not the first, and I still wasn't giving up. I fought. I wrote a response to their appeal, even though I knew I probably wouldn't affect any change. And you want to know the most sickening part of it? I got a reply.
Thanks for contacting Etsy. Our support staff received your request an important message about your Etsy account and will be in touch as soon as possible.
Just more generic bot crap. I mean, how can you justify treating your sellers this way? The people who make it possible for your business to even exist. It's blatant doublespeak. I never got a response beyond this automated one. So why even allow these automated emails with false promises to go through? Why bother? To this very day, a fucking year after my store was shut down, to still allow me to send an appeal, when apparently it's completely pointless. In what world is that clear communication? I mean, holy crap. It's a year later. I'm making a YouTube video on this, and even with the power of hindsight, I can barely keep track of the layers of horseshit present here. Layers like an onion that's made out of crap with crap smeared between every layer and a crusty crap skin on top. What the crap? And I still wasn't going to give up. I kept emailing, tweeting, writing, trying to seek out support where I could, but nothing worked. Etsy was true to their word. They stuck their fingers into their ears and went la 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 la, like they said they would. I could only think of one last thing to do at this point: get therapy. And that's why I punched the police officer. Thanks, I feel so much better having said it all out loud. Can I get your number or like hours? Oh, I can just have you? Really? Well, don't mind if I do. Thanks, I feel so much better now. Well, that's right, for a limited time only, you can now get your emotional support rat.
Emotional support rat is not a toy, not suitable for children under 14 years of age. Contains small parts, joking hazard. Emotional support rat is a novelty collectible and not a substitute for therapy. Heckling makes no guarantees of any actual emotional support.
I currently only have a stock of 1,000, so it's first come and first serve. Visit www.hecklin.com to get yours now. Back to our regular scheduled programming. I could only think of one last thing to do at this point, an ace up the sleeve that I had come up with. Wanna know a fun fact? If you look up an executive's email online, you can find it. And find it I did. Yes, my dear viewer, my next email went directly to the CEO of Etsy. And within 72 hours, faster than any wait time previously, I got a response. An actual response from a human being. A
Senior Escalations and Appeals Specialist.
Hello, my name is Name A, and I am a Senior Escalations and Appeals Specialist. I am responding to your recent outreach of exact date to Etsy's CEO. Thank you for your patience while I've reviewed your accounts. We do appreciate that you'd like to continue being a part of the Etsy community. However, as we explained on exact date, we've determined your account does not qualify for reinstatement. This final decision was based on a detailed review of your account, any additional information you provided, and your compliance with Etsy's policies. In addition, your account was suspended due to a connection with a shop that is no longer eligible to operate on Etsy. Blah 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 blah. Because the connected account has already filed an appeal and the account did not qualify for reinstatement, we are unable to reinstate this account. Blah 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 blah. We are unable to discuss this further, and all replies to this message will be closed. Blah 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 blah. Best, Name B, Etsy Appeals Specialist.
And that's why. 4 months after my store got shut down, 4 months after countless attempts to connect, to communicate, to just know why, I finally got the reason. My store was shut down because my other store was shut down. My other store, which was shut down for no given reason. Hell, even this email explaining things uses the most dodgy language it can. Unable to disclose the specifics of our internal review criteria, significance of the information connecting them, unable to provide you with the exact information, unable to discuss this further, and all replies to this message will be closed. Unable's a lie. Unwilling is the truth. That's it, by the way. I continued to send emails, sent another one to the CEO using a different email. I always kept everything formal, polite but firm. The story ends here, and what am I left with? Nothing. Exploited and taken advantage of like thousands of others by a company that prides itself on connection between actual artisans, craftsmen, real people, and customers. I mean, this video didn't even begin to touch on how bad the marketplace on Etsy is, with countless artists just using AI art, some without disclosing it, with the increase of custom work that is simply being outsourced to Temu or Alibaba. Yet it seems to me Etsy is more inclined to ban actual individual artists over risk indicators than these cheap quality AI run, I'm assuming low risk operations. To clarify, I'm not blaming the sellers or shops that are doing the misleading and the lying. I'm blaming Etsy for creating an environment that does not discourage these practices enough. It's just like with Airbnb. At some point the whole thing has just been perverted and warped so far from its original purpose that it is in no way recognizable anymore or beneficial to use. And I got some fun Airbnb stories for you too, believe you me. Want to know the cherry on top? I mean, you might have been wondering this whole time, so what? Why doesn't this wino just start another shop? Well, one, obviously, that's kind of a spit in the face. My original shop had built up a certain level of trust and sales that showed I was the real deal. And two, because I can't. Going forward, accounts created or used by you or someone else acting on your behalf will be closed. Etsy blacklisted me from ever using their site again. Etsy didn't ban my shop. They banned me. Me. As a person. And yeah, I finally gave up. It's saddening to see what happens when a corporation has a pseudo-monopoly on the market. There really isn't an Etsy 2 or a good alternative that I know of that does what Etsy does. Now I'm actually locked out of buying and supporting a lot of artists whose work I love because I do not want to give Etsy a single penny more than I already have. I will never be giving them anything again. I'll never use their service again. Especially since coming from the seller side, I know how inflated Etsy prices can be. It's unfortunate, but a lot of young artists like me are dependent on services like Etsy. Setting up your own website is hard, man. I'm just one person. I can't match Etsy's level of traffic. You gotta give it to them. Guess that's what justifies their fees. Woo! Every artist who is trying to sell anything online will have an encounter with Etsy in one way or another.
Etsy.
That's just how widespread and influential they are. Maybe you picked it up on it already, but the spectromic wavelength that little Hex got is the high sensitive spectrolysis. So even a year later, this whole thing weighs on me a lot. I'm typing this out right now and I got a ragey stress headache. Reading it also made me kinda mad. I'm hoping that now that it's a story, I can let it go and treat it like any other story. Learn from it. Or angrily reread the same passage again and again, hoping magically that the story will change. Whew. Well, that's that. Now I have something to point to when people ask me,
Have you tried Etsy?
yeah, man. Yeah, I have. Let me know if you enjoyed my little tale. I actually quite enjoy telling stories, discussing stories, reading stories, and so on. And I promise most of them do not get me angry like this. Maybe I already have another video out on a video game or perhaps a comic book. Why don't you go and take a look? And thanks for listening to this point. I know the story didn't really end happy, but it did end. And this video is hopefully the final end. Sleep well, everyone, and fuck Etsy!
I hope to be a writer myself someday.
Post-nut clarity. Shit. Post-video clarity Hecklin here. After editing and revisiting everything, I can say with some confidence that this entire mess happened because Etsy didn't like that I let Lumi log in to upload the PNG tubers we were selling. Lumi doesn't live in the same country as me, which is probably why Etsy freaked out. This Reddit comment, although insanely unhelpful, is probably right. Plus, the kicker is Etsy's TOS doesn't forbid account sharing. They just say you carry the risk. They should have said, "We'll ban you, bitch." Apparently now there's also a way to add employees to your account. I have no idea when this feature started to exist, and honestly, why would I? So Lumi, I'm sorry this happened. I don't blame you in the slightest. And while I did write this entire script to be funny, the reality is that it has been one of the most stressful, frustrating, and disappointing periods of my life. A bitter fight against a company that seems to thrive on being awful. Don't use Etsy. If you want to support artists and independent creators, you can find another way. Silver lining, it pushed me to finally make my first YouTube video.